Hello, this is Pierce Batzine from Team Nick. We are doing our first report on our progress for Tech Report 1. We will be focusing on the tech transition from standard water heating systems that utilize a tank to modern water heating systems such as solar, condensing, tankless, and hybrid styles. So some general information about water heaters that we came across is that they're rated in terms of the first hour performance, so how many gallons of hot water they can produce for the first hour, because after that, for tank utilizing designs, the water will usually run cold or will cool down to a point where it is no longer as useful. The other information is for a tankless design, they're rated in the number of gallons they can gallons per hour that they can produce, because while they can heat an unlimited amount of hot water, they're restricted by the quantity of hot water. The ways that we're analyzing this, we're doing cash flow, we're doing present value, and we're doing calculations from the perspective of an average homeowner here in Phoenix to determine what would be the most cost-effective solution for them in terms of the short term and the long term.
So on the topic of tank versus tankless water heaters, I've chosen to research tanked water heaters. Tanked water heaters are powered one of two ways. They're powered by natural gas or electricity. Natural gas tanks have a higher upfront cost, but are cheaper to run. Electric tanks are a little bit cheaper to buy up front, but they are more expensive to run. Due to my early research and a lot of customer reviews, I'm leaning towards the natural gas tank being the better choice between the two. The Bream brand of tank I've chosen is one of the most efficient ones you can actually buy on the market right now. So moving forward, comparing it to the 4 different types of tanks we have, an issue we might run across is whether or not someone would pay to install a tanked water heater. The other tank or other water heaters are a little bit more difficult to install, so it requires an advanced knowledge of plumbing that the average homeowner might not have, so they might opt to pay a plumber to install it. Where a tanked water heater is very basic and very straightforward to install, so you have to choose whether or not someone will do the material cost and just put it in themselves, or they'd rather pay for someone else's time. The next plan of action is then to compare the cost of all 4 different types of water heaters over its average lifetime, about 8 to 10 years, and then make our best recommendation for the average American household to purchase.
Condensing style heaters are usually for greater than 55-gallon requirements, so if you need quite a bit more water to be supplied, especially in the first hour, a condensing water heater is one of your better options. It's 0.8 to 0.82 efficiency. The first hour amount is 93 gallons, and they usually have a dual anode design to help prevent against corruption inside the tank. So hybrid style water heaters are water heaters that utilize a traditional type of tank, but they can use the ambient room temperature in order to heat the water. So as long as you have 1,000 cubic feet of space, which is a requirement for one of these hybrid styles, they're going to consume the ambient heat and use it to heat your water. They're up to 60%. They use 60% less energy than a standard tank. They have similar insulation. They can be a little thicker and a little taller. But other than that, and they must be in an area of 40 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit in order to work properly.
Hello, I'm Vahtank Tamasidze, and I'm here to talk about tankless water heaters. What's interesting about tankless water heaters is that they're very energy efficient. They're nearly 87% of energy efficiency, and they don't store. That's because they don't store any water, so they don't waste energy on heating up water that's not needed. They just heat up the water that's being used. So what's interesting about them is that they can work on gas or electricity, which is very comfortable since it's more sustainable to use electricity over gas in some areas, while it's different in others. So one other thing that's interesting about those devices is that some of them do control the flow, some of them don't. The ones that do control the flow are more used in northern areas where the temperature is low and the water heater cannot heat as much water as it's being consumed. While it's not needed in Arizona. So yes, that's our report.
So I'm Nick Chaussee, and I was tasked with looking over solar water heaters. Now in the Valley of the Sun here, a solar water heater would be a very useful tool, as for the majority of the year we have a lot of sun. So these solar water heaters, there's two different types. There's the active solar heaters, and then there's the passive heaters. The passive heaters are easier to set up. They cost a little bit less to get set up. However, they don't store as much energy as the active water heaters. So if you have a few cloudy days in a row, then the home may run out of energy from that solar water heater, which is why in that system it may be important to have a traditional water heater. The passive water heater is a lot more bulky and a lot more expensive to get set up, and so that heater tends to hold more energy and completely negates any use of a traditional water heater. These solar water heaters tend to cost about $2,000 up front, and they may require maintenance once every 7 years for an approximate $130. Overall, the efficiency of the energy, it will save you about 50% on energy costs and your water bills.
So some potential obstacles that may come in the way of our task at hand is, first of all, just finding the time to meet with the group and schedule time to actually work on the report. But another obstacle that has come in our way is finding the correct data to use as far as our calculations on monthly or annual costs of the various heaters, and maybe even repair costs for each of those heaters and the maintenance.
Okay, so for a plan of attack, the things we need to really work on, we need a lot of detailed calculations in terms of cash flow charts. We also need to do present value calculations. We need to do a couple graphs and diagrams to demonstrate the comparisons between them so that the information is easily digested and quick to reach a conclusion for our client. And of course we need to have one final written version that's nicely typed up and ready to go.